Professor Jeffries for Rainier Avenue Radio, and have me some coffee today. I just hope your coffee's better than mine. Okay, and today we're going to do look at white supremacy deconstructed part 2. And the issue is why is it so hatred towards African Americans? I mean, why could you put the slides? Why is everybody so hard on Black people? You know, it's really interesting. You think about that in terms of anti-Black racism. I mean, now the Supreme Court saying that Black history and these programs set up African American scholarship programs stuff are now considered unconstitutional. Okay, and it's always about and then erasing Black people from history and science. I mean, think about Black people built the pyramids. Okay, but they try to say the pyramids were built by somebody else. Okay, Moors, a place in the United States today, would be classified as Black. But yet at the same time, I was in Barcelona, a place where they did tours of the castles and everything, and say, well, Moors built this. Moors were Arabs or Muslims or something, trying to play all that off. And so it's really interesting. I mean, why so antipathy towards African Americans? I suspect also that basically what won the election for Trump, the last election, in terms of antipathy towards African Americans in particular. Okay, but antipathy for dark people in general, except those folks didn't realize it until they started deporting them. But think of what Black people fought in every war this country had, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War to World War I, World War II, Spanish-American War, and they come back and get the same thing. And they also make major contributions to mathematics, to science, and all this. Yet at the same time, there's still the antipathy for us. Okay, are you on the next slide? Okay, you think about Nell Painter. Nell Painter, she wrote a book called The History of White People. Then the question comes up, aren't all books about the history of white people? No, not the way she writes it. She goes back and talks about the origin of the so-called Caucasian phrase and the theory of migrating from Caucasus Mountain, how different categories of race were established based upon the history of the so-called Caucasian race. But the interesting about it, race didn't really have the same significance until the 1800s. Okay, then let's talk about Frances Welsing, Neely Fuller. In addition, you want the next one? Frances Welsing, she was a psychiatrist out of Washington, D.C., and she wrote several books. ISIS Papers, the one she's famous for. But she basically, one of her essays, basically she wrote, used Freud's theory to deconstruct white people's consciousness or white supremacist consciousness. In other words, what she's saying is that European Americans or Europeans in general are racist because of fear of genetic annihilation, a fear of genetic annihilation. And you hear that in terms of those people in the Tiki Tower, all the kind of stuff in Charlotte, those Klan rallies. We want replacement theory, we're going to replace, and so forth. And also the white portion of the population is going down, but fear of genetic annihilation. Okay, but in reality, it also comes down to a fear, this anti-affirmative action, anti-woke, is fear of being able to compete with people of color in particular, and blacks as well, being able to compete on equal footing. Do you want to show the first video?
Why are white people so intimidated and threatened by black men, despite their claims that black men are inferior to them and incapable of the most basic tasks?
Well, there's an easy answer to that question. They know black men are superior to them. Put us on any playing field, be it physics or football, and we will win. Give us the same opportunities, and we will win. Because we come from a history of not trying to destroy and dominate the world, and you come from a history of trying to destroy and dominate the world.
As a black billionaire, there's only 1%, right? I mean, black billionaires form 1% of the billionaires in this country. What is it like being a black billionaire when the other 99% are not?
It's a great job if you can get it.
That's
Well said.
This is what a MAGA mind is.
Brand spanking new Lexus SUV. How is that possible? Integrate into the same neighborhood that I worked my entire life to get into. I don't understand it.
There he is, right there.
That guy right
It's what Make America Great Again has always meant to certain people. It's never been about patriotism. It's always been about hierarchy, about making sure black people stay in a place that makes them comfortable. Because let's be honest, imagine living in a country where 400 years you receive every privilege available. Free labor for almost 2 centuries, millions of acres of free land through the Homestead Act, government assistance when black folks were excluded, white veterans received GI Bills as sent them to college when black veterans who served the country faithfully did not, white home ownership through FHA loans that black people didn't get while black families were redlined into poverty. There was affirmative action for white folks long before the phrase was ever even created. Let me name a few more. Tax benefits, union protections, government contracts, Social Security programs that originally excluded black labor, corporate subsidies, banking systems built on predatory denial of black access, policing designed to guard white prosperity, and the unspoken privilege of always being seen and deserving, and all that for generations. And yet here we are, after everything designed to hold us back, we still here. It makes them a failure. We're still educating ourselves, still building businesses. It makes them a failure. Still growing wealth, still buying homes, still pulling up in our Lexuses. That makes them a failure. We still thrive in the ways this country has never planned for us to thrive. And it makes them feel like failures. Because that's what they are. That's why it bothers them. Because to them, our success is what it is. It makes them failures. They feel better when they can look down on us. They feel safer when we have to struggle. They feel whole when we are broken. So when they say make America great again, what they are really saying is let's go back and reset the hierarchy. Let's put them back in their place, which is beneath us. Let's strip away any progress that they've made. Let's take away all their rights, all their opportunities, all the wins that make them feel equal. Because for us to feel equal, it makes them feel like failures. Because they've had every advancement known to man, and yet here we are, and that's why our excellence is so powerful, y'all. Because every time we disrupt the narrative they depended on for 400 years, every time we win and we break the system that was never designed for us to succeed, every time we shine, we expose the weakness of a structure built on stolen labor, stolen land, and stolen wealth. It's their failure. This is why our success is revolutionary. It's not just about your car, your house, or your lifestyle. It's a reminder that despite every barrier placed in our way, we still here, thriving, winning, and redefining greatness in our terms. And they are still what they are. Failures.
Think about that. Okay. In other words, the fear of being competing on equal grounds. If you equal grounds, in terms of whether it's on the baseball field or the classroom or any other situation, if place is equals. Okay. But also the whole idea of hierarchy, trying to maintain that sense of hierarchy, which basically what the so-called myth of white supremacy relies on. You show the next one. Anyway, but think about that in terms of Neely Fuller, in terms of you don't really understand white supremacy, nothing else that goes on in this country is going to make sense. Okay, and that's kind of what he was talking about. Put some of his one of his videos on the last what I talked about. Neely Fuller also worked with Francis Wilson.
I have a question that I'm really curious about. Why are black people the most hated people on the planet? Why do they fear us, fight us, and try to erase us, but still want to dress like us, talk like us, sing like us, and move like us? To understand that, you have to understand who we are. You see, long before anybody enslaved us or renamed us, we were the blueprint of civilization. We were creating mathematics, medicine, architect, and spirituality when other nations were still in caves. We built dynasties. We built pyramids that stand stronger than the political systems built to destroy us. We created empires that influenced the world. We crafted universities that educated scholars from across the globe. So when people ask, why do they hate us? Let me tell you this. People don't hate the weak. They fear the powerful. And our power is ancient. And then think about this, the transatlantic slave trade, the most brutal and inhumane form of slavery humanity has ever seen. It wasn't just about labor. It was about eliminating identity. It was about breaking the body and the spirit so that the world would forget who we are. But we didn't forget. We didn't fold. Even during the darkest chapters, we created new culture out of nothing. Gospel, blues, jazz, hip hop. The soundtrack of the world came from our pain, our joy, and our resilience. And after emancipation, every time we rose, this country reacted. Reconstruction, lynchings, Jim Crow, Black Wall Street burned to the ground, land stolen, policies written specifically to suppress our brilliance, mass incarceration engineered to replace bondage with bars. And through all of that, we still rose. We built businesses, we built families, and we built movement, and we built cultures. So again, why the hate? Because our resilience is unmatched, because our ability to create out of struggle is unmatched, because our influence reaches every corner of the globe. They want what we create. They just don't want to live what we live. They want our rhythm, but not our blues. They want the sauce, but not the soul that crafted it. But let me tell you who we are. We are the originators, the innovators, the heartbeat of the world. We are the survivors of the greatest atrocity in human history and the creators of the greatest cultural contributions the world has ever known. Black people, you are excellence. You are legacy. You are strength. You are the dream and the dreamers. You are the people the world studies, imitates, envies, even when they refuse to acknowledge the truth. The hate is not about our lack. It's about our greatness, our brilliance, our power, and our influence. Of course they tried to erase us and silence us and destroy us. Yet, here we are, powerful, creative, unbreakable, and ready to build our next dynasty. And when we unite, when we truly heal and recognize our greatness, game over for everybody else.
I think one of my favorite phrases in terms of issue comes up, nobody runs an option play like a black quarterback. In other words, I think of African Americans, our greatest asset is the ability to improvise, make something out of nothing. A song came out in the 80s, said trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Okay, that's African American way. Society stood up against us. Everything's put in our path to try to block us, and we still are able to achieve that. Now they create this term called merit. Okay, what is merit? Okay, and then what the real issue is, merit versus performance. Merit versus performance. Merit's arbitrary. Performance is right out there where you can see it. Think about all the who would hire Joe Montana today be a play quarterback. He had a lot of merit, but can he play today? Okay, that's what's our performance versus merit. Okay, that's a whole different issue. But so my point is, merit is an artificial concept set up to control. You want to play the next 2 videos in a row?
You guys have everything you want. You have legal racial profiling. You've ended DEI. You've ended affirmative action. You get all the best jobs, even if you're not qualified. You can be a Fox Weekend host and be the Defense Department Secretary of Defense. You can be Kash Patel and be a podcaster who wants to go to Valhalla and run the FBI, as long as you're conservative. You have everything. Why are y'all so angry? What the fuck are you angry about? You've banned all of our books. You've banned Black history. You banned the 1619 Project. You don't have to compete with women for jobs. You've chased them out of the military. You've chased them out of the senior positions in the Department of Defense. You've gotten rid of all the Black history in the museums. Museums are terrified. I have contacts that I'm talking to inside of the Interior Department, people who are running all of those spaces where you can go and see a Civil War memorial or something. The people who work in these places are terrified. They're afraid to tell the real history. The people who are working for the federal government are afraid to say the word Black. You guys have canceled Black scholarships.
They told us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps while they were born wearing Gucci loafers. Merit, please. This whole system runs on nepotism, privilege, and keeping the right people out. Let me tell you why fairness is a luxury Black America cannot afford. I am about to say something that is going to make some people uncomfortable, but somebody needs to keep it real. White America has been selling us a fairy tale about meritocracy for generations, and it is time we stop buying what they are selling. They want us to believe that hard work and talent are all you need to succeed, that the cream rises to the top, that the best person always gets the job. Meanwhile, their entire system is built on a foundation of racial privilege, Nepotism, legacy admissions, country club connections, and making sure the right kind of people stay in power. You want to talk about merit? Let me tell you about merit in America. Merit is a black woman needing a master's degree to get the same job a white man gets with a bachelor's. Merit is a black candidate having to be overqualified for every position while mediocre white executives fail upward their entire careers. Merit is watching less qualified white people get hired, promoted, and celebrated while black excellence gets overlooked, undervalued, and told to wait their turn. That is the real American meritocracy, and it is a complete joke. Look at corporate America. Black people make up about 13% of the U.S. population, but how many Fortune 500 CEOs are black? At any given time, you can count them on 2 hands, maybe 3 if it is a good year. And do not even get me started on the boardrooms, the C-suites, the venture capital firms, the private equity companies. These spaces are whiter than a country club in the 1950s, and they want to sit there with a straight face and tell us it is about merit? No, sir, no, ma'am. It is about who you know, who your daddy knows, what school you went to, what neighborhood you grew up in, and whether you fit their comfort level. It is about legacy hires and family connections and fraternity brothers and golf course deals. The game has always been rigged, and they have the nerve to act shocked when we point it out. Let me break down how this works in the real world because the examples are everywhere. You see it in Hollywood where mediocre white directors get unlimited chances while black directors have to have 3 hits before they get greenlit for a 4th project. You see it in academia where white professors with questionable credentials get tenured while black scholars with groundbreaking research get passed over. You see it in tech where white bros drop out of college to start companies that get millions in funding while black entrepreneurs with business degrees and proven track records cannot get meetings with investors. And sports? Oh, honey, sports is where the hypocrisy really shows its face. Let me tell you something about professional sports in America. Black athletes dominate the NFL and NBA as players. We are the ones generating billions of dollars in revenue, putting our bodies on the line, creating the excitement that fills stadiums and drives television contracts. But when it comes to coaching and management positions, suddenly it is a white man's world again. The NFL is 70% black players, but less than 10% black head coaches. The NBA is 75% black players, but the coaching and front office positions stay disproportionately white. And it is not because black former players do not understand the game. It is not because we lack leadership skills or strategic thinking. It is because they want to keep those positions of power and control in white hands. They will let us run, jump, catch, and dunk, but when it comes to calling the shots and making decisions, they want that to stay in the family. Think about the absurdity of this. You have white coaches who never played professional sports leading teams full of black players who have forgotten more about the game than these coaches will ever know. But somehow we are supposed to believe that the best candidates just happen to be white most of the time? Please. If the NFL and NBA actually operated on pure merit when it came to coaching, the sidelines would look a lot different. But they know that, which is why they fight so hard to maintain the status quo. Let me tell you what merit really looks like in Black America. Merit is having to be twice as good to get half as far. Merit is code switching in interviews so you do not make white people uncomfortable. Merit is straightening your hair, changing your name on your resume, downplaying your blackness just to get past the gatekeepers. Merit is watching less qualified white colleagues get promoted while you get told you need more experience. That is the merit system black people actually live in, and it is exhausting. And here is the thing that really gets me. They have convinced some of us to buy into their fairy tale. You have black people out here preaching about merit and colorblindness and working twice as hard, as if that is somehow going to change a system designed to keep us at the bottom. We have internalized their mythology so deeply that we police each other, telling folks to just work harder, be better, prove yourself, as if we have not been doing exactly that for 400 years. How many degrees do we need? How many credentials? How many years of experience? How perfect do we have to be before we get treated with the same grace and benefit of the doubt that mediocre white people receive every single day? The answer is there is no amount of qualifications that will ever be enough because the system was never designed to let us win.
Think about it. The system was never designed to let us win, but we're getting in anyway. Let's go to the next one.
When we talk about meritocracy in America, we have to be real about what that word has always meant. Meritocracy is supposed to mean the best person gets the job. It's a cute idea, sounds fair, but in this country, meritocracy has never been real. It has always been a shield to protect mediocrity in whiteness while discrediting excellence in blackness. Black women in particular earn degrees at higher rates than every other demographic, but they're the least likely to get promoted, the least likely to be sponsored, and the most likely to be laid off. And look what just happened. Black women lost over 300,000 jobs, many of them in the federal government sector, which was the very first place this administration gutted. So when people scream about eliminating DEI to restore meritocracy, what they're really saying is restore the old system where whiteness is the only qualification you need. Because let's be honest, white men have never believed in meritocracy. They have always been the original DEI hires. They built entire empires on opportunity, access, and inherited privilege. Not skill, not excellence, not mastery, access. And if you need proof, look no further than the cabinet. Some of the highest appointed leaders in this country have no relevant experience, none. No expertise, no qualifications, no background, yet they are overseeing positions that determine national security, education, and economic policy. That is textbook definition of a DEI hire, except for the D stands for default whiteness, not diversity. Now let me give you a personal example that shows exactly how this plays out every single day in America. When I was 18, I was a security guard at a Fortune 500 company. One of the guards at the front desk was a young, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy. He wasn't in school, he wasn't in training. His whole job was letting people in that building with their badges, and that was it. A year later, I came back as a full-time employee. I walked in and I saw him again, but this time, he wasn't at the front desk. He was an engineer. I congratulated him. I was like, wow. How did you get that job? Did you go to school? He said, nah. They came in one day and they asked me if I wanted to be an engineer. And I said, yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? A young white man with no degree, no technical skills, and no engineering background went from a security guard to an engineer because somebody simply offered him a job. Meanwhile, there are black men and women with engineering degrees, years of experience, certifications, and superior performance reviews who will never be asked to do anything but work twice as hard for half the reward. That's meritocracy. That's DEI. That's America. And until we speak the truth, they'll keep writing the narrative as if black professionals are somehow the ones benefiting from special treatment. When the truth is, the playing field has always been tilted. The gatekeepers have always chosen their own. And let's remember, when we get into those positions of power, let's always reach back to help our own, just like they do.
Think about that. Okay, in terms of what we're looking at here. Okay, a system that's rigged, and then when you try to take the system back, they put it in, try to move forward, one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two steps back. Okay, it happens, but we still kind of maintain. Don't you know Dunbar High School one?
Do you know the first black public high school in America that outperformed every white school in the country? But the government destroyed it on purpose. They don't tell you this, but there was a school so successful, so brilliant, so unstoppable, that it scared the entire system. Founded in 1870, just 5 years after slavery, Dunbar High School became the first black public high school in the United States. Dunbar wasn't built on money. It was built on discipline, community, and impossible standards in a country that expected black students to fail. By the early 1900s, Dunbar students scored higher than white schools across Washington, D.C. They were accepted to Harvard, Amherst, Dartmouth, Oberlin, and Brown every year. Dunbar had teachers with master's degrees, PhDs, and Ivy League educations. Black intellectuals who weren't allowed to work anywhere else because of racism. Every student wore professional clothes. Every class demanded excellence. Dunbar produced more black PhDs, military officers, and professionals than any school in the country. But when segregation ended in 1954, the government didn't strengthen Dunbar. They weakened it. Students were scattered across the city. The tight-knit community that made Dunbar powerful was ripped apart overnight. Brilliant black teachers were reassigned or pushed out. The excellence that took decades to build disappeared in months. White schools received new resources. Dunbar received the leftovers. Its facilities crumbled. Its leadership changed. And suddenly, expectations dropped. People say Dunbar declined, but the truth is simple. Dunbar didn't fall apart. It was dismantled. Dunbar proved that when black students have strong teachers and real opportunity, they don't just compete, they outperform. Dunbar graduates became generals, senators, lawyers, scholars, and civil rights leaders. Their impact still shapes America today. Even after sabotage, the name Dunbar still stands, a reminder of what black excellence can build, and what systems will do to stop it. So why didn't they teach us about the black high school that outperformed an entire country? Why erase the proof that black students excelled under impossible conditions?
Yeah, Dunbar High School is amazing. Anybody see Hidden Figures, where the black lady team of female mathematicians help run the Space Institute in terms of, and actually several of those folks were in several of the teachers that those folks went to school with were graduates of Dunbar High School. Okay, you think about that in terms of the ability to produce African American students that can compete with anyone. Like I said before, we're talking about late 1800s, early 1900s, and students out of Dunbar High School getting into Harvard, Princeton, and those institutions. So it's proof that it can be done. We can produce a group of African American students who can compete with anybody. Okay, the problem is the system wants to shut that down. We're going to erase history. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to hide it. We're going to make it illegal. Okay, now we're going to try to push all these people out of higher education. Okay, and the thing is, Pandora's box is open. You can't stop us. We're moving on. Do I have time for Jasmine Crockett one?
Congresswoman, Elon and Trump are trying to threaten and intimidate. Are you intimidated?
No.
What's the answer?
Listen, here's the reality. Now, I can't speak for anybody else, but I used to ask myself, if I was a part of the civil rights movement back in the day, what role would I play? Never imagined that I would be able to play this type of role, because we know that they had to fight so that seats like this could exist in the Congress in the first place. So as only the 55th black woman elected to Congress, knowing that people fought for what they could not see, I think that I owe it not only to the generations that came before me, but the generations that are coming behind me. If they could risk their lives, if they could be jailed, if they could be beaten, and do it all for somebody that they never knew would exist, known as Jasmine Crockett, then I can do just a little bit by making sure that I raise my voice. And to be perfectly honest, I know that they all talk about how Christian they are, but I am the child of a preacher, and I am going to say that God has not given me a spirit of fear. So I will not be intimidated. I will not be scared. I know that what I am doing is right. No matter how they try to persecute me, no matter how many lies they put out against me, I will stand strong, because I know how I got here, and I know that the generations coming behind me deserve it. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
So we're talking about the next generation. The next generation. Okay, each generation, they try to shut us down. Each generation, we overcome their expectations. In other words, African Americans consistently do what the white experts say is impossible. Okay, all right. So this is all I wanted to say for right now, and I'll see you again on January 20th. And have a good week and enjoy your holidays. Thank you for your time.